Hey guys, and welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm not going to waste your time at all, but there are three really big issues in Warpath right now, and I'm going to go over them. The third one's quite controversial, so I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. Anyway, let's get into it. At number one, we have the Armored Destroyer. Obviously, it's the super heavy for the Navy. I don't personally have a good one, but it is an extremely strong unit, and as of the current state of the game and what I've seen from my conquests, it's extremely difficult to destroy. It's about 3 times stronger than a super heavy when you're comparing one super heavy versus one artillery, and then you do the same thing. You know, that's without considering the fact that the Armored Destroyer is hitting back. There's lots of content on YouTube where you can see its crazy tanking ability. Even with the current shield officers not being powerful shield officers, they're versatile officers. They're not specifically currently set up for the Armored Destroyer, they're just set up for defending. For shields, so it can become a very big issue very quickly, and Lilith needs to get to fixing that. That is the first issue. I think it's the least of all three issues. The second one is the officer gear system. Now, I don't know what Lilith was thinking personally, but these items are broken. I mean, this is equal to the final tech of, or better than actually the final tech of the artillery line for modern war. You know, you have things like this: normal attacks of 35%, HP of 35%, amazing for something like a light tank. But these are too powerful. They will create too much of an imbalance, and maybe, you know, at legendary it's quite different and they don't create an insane imbalance, but at the current point in which we are in the game, where most players are, which is making their way from lower silver up to higher silver through gold, you know, it's only really a gold 1 legendary where these items are necessary, and I don't think the Lilith has thought this through. Things like, for example, we can go here, this on an MB at max level is going to be absolutely insane, and for especially whales to have access to buffs like this is just going to completely shift the game in a negative way. I've already heard lots of complaints about it, people talking about it in Conquest, how it's going to be extremely broken. You know, you can use it to buff up your attacking artillery by copious amounts, and it's a feature Lilith has definitely not thought through. In my opinion, Lilith should remove this completely and give it another thought through and possibly bring it back to the game, but as a more balanced feature. It's quite similar to when they introduced the super weapons, I believe it was. I'm not too sure about that. I obviously didn't play the game back when that happened, but that was a very big mistake on their part, and I think they are making the same mistake here with this feature, but you guys let me know what you think. Now, the final problem is going to be extremely controversial, but I believe the biggest problem in the game, by far, is unrestricted conquests. Right now, Warpath servers are it's divided basically into two different categories. You have servers that are dominated by extremely strong restricted alliances, and servers dominated by extremely strong unrestricted alliances. For example, my server 98, this is an unrestricted alliance that, you know, is pushed up to 23 billion. They were a lot weaker when, for example, I was there, but when you start to look at these players, you can see, okay, these are more players that should be playing Gold 1, oh sorry, Gold 3, more players that should be playing Gold 2 or Gold 1, and again, same case here, some of these players even Gold 3. It's not well thought out, the existence of restricted conquest, because or of unrestricted conquest, sorry, it causes too many complications in the game. A lot of people will see the theater of conquest icon come up, especially for those in the newer servers, and they want to immediately hop into theater of conquest in order to see what it is, because it is what everyone waits for. You know, you wait your 2 weeks, you get into a conquest, you fight for a month, and then you come back. It's what the game is now about. When you do this now, with the newer players, every alliance will have a whale. All the good people in a new server, all the good players will want to follow that whale, thinking that's best to fight alongside them. They end up going into these conquests and fighting, basically losing battles. It's just objectively true. For example, my first conquest, I was around 16 million. Extremely weak, right? Back when I was in server 83, we were facing alliances like 84, alliance named Continental, I can't remember what server they were in, but they had, you know, 120 million players, and it was not balanced at all. It was just, you know, a landslide in one direction. We couldn't have done anything. It didn't help that the map was Moscow, so we were just constantly being killed. But unrestricted conquests are by far the biggest problem in the game right now. If you don't believe me, you can go onto YouTube, you can go see players like Longshot, and I believe his name is Godzilla, who play unrestricted conquest cycles, and they just have extremely weak alliance members, and it's them doing everything. It's they, you know, they have the lounge officers, they have high collector levels, and they're fighting a lot weaker players. You know, there may be one enemy per alliance that can match up to them, but that person is busy farming on their alliance, and vice versa. It's just, it's not balanced for what the game should be. I believe personally that it should just be removed. There should not be an unrestricted cycle. Everyone should be forced to go into restricted. For example, if an alliance like the alliance that currently rules my server, INW, were to go to restricted conquest, they would realize that they need to split their alliance apart, because an alliance like this, you know, the power's not divided fairly. It just causes complications in the flow of the game. People like, for example, Snow, MQVal, they are the whales. They are the reason why this alliance exists, is purely so they can farm. You know, no hate at Snow Rider. I've known him since Cairo, back in a long time ago. But for this to be the new season, of Road to Valor, and for Snow Rider to be already on 100 million points is just a good example of the farming. There's no other way to put it. The farming of enemy units that goes on in Unrestricted Conquest. Forcing everyone into Restricted Conquest, while a lot of players will complain, will force alliances to become more dynamic. You know, the people will start moving servers, they'll start finding alliances that are fit to their power. You know, INW may stay ruling this server, become a Gold 1 alliance, and then some of the weaker players might leave, go to another server where they can find a Gold 2, Gold 3 alliance. You know, it's the fact that it's just used for farming. Unrestricted conquests don't make sense to me, in my opinion. The only unrestricted conquest that should exist, if any, should be Legendary 1. Legendary 1 should have no restrictions applied to anything. It should just be pure fighting for the purpose of fighting. At that highest tier. I mean, that's really all I have to say. These three things, the armored destroyer, the officer equipment system, and unrestricted conquest, are the biggest issues in the game. I know this is my first voiceover video in a long time, so I'm making a lot of mistakes, and it's quite late, so I am quite tired. My apologies. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in Agency next Conquest.